Hi, everyone. Marianne Markowitz, your dynamic meditation, brain balance coach, and your executive recruiter. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, and this topic seems like it's relevant for anyone in the LinkedIn otherwise audience. So, do you think of yourself? First of all, I'm calling this an awareness lesson. Do you find yourself as an expansive, growth mindset, or are you a fixed, contracted mindset? And why is it important? It is vitally important in today's world because we've gone beyond the information age in that we're drowning in information now. And now we need to really cultivate our internal ability to be able to sift through this information. And I find when I'm recruiting and speaking with people, the ones who are the happiest and the most engaged are growth mindset. Oh, I just finished my PhD in this, I've done this, and they're on their game. And versus others who are, I'm stuck, can't stand my job, I've been here forever, and I'm bored. How can we turn those places of boredom and start cultivating a new mindset? So stay tuned. What we really want to do is, number one, become aware. So what is my natural ability? And here's the rub. We need some certainty in our life, but if we get too much, we get bored to tears. And then we're boring, but that's another subject. So you always want to be aware of what's my mindset. Am I growing? Am I learning? Am I developing? Because then you're more attracted to employers. You're more attractive to other people. You're more interesting. So on the flip side of growth mindset is just understanding the abilities of what you can develop. And again, these people I interact with who are just naturally in that growth mindset, they come across as more intelligent. And one of the points I want to make today is that very often people say, I am this way, I've always been this way, I'm never going to change. My email is klutz. You pick the safe self-labels that you maybe are unconsciously using. Become aware of those, because it's very important to start becoming aware, and then you can change that mindset. And our behaviors change when we start working with, am I growth? Am I fixed? Am I growth? Am I fixed? And those who believe that, again, things are just the way they always are, there's so much research to support what we can do with this fabulous thing up here called the brain. We can certainly influence it, and we must be the commanders of our brain, because it's too easy to fall prey of what's coming in at us. You remember at the beginning I said you need to start being able to filter the information. That's what we want to create, that ability to be able to do that. So number one, what you want to do is accept imperfection. Many of us say, oh, I can't do this because I'm not good enough. Jump in and do something before you're ready, and then learn. It's like sometimes I talk to people and it's like, oh man, look at how much growth you had. It was as if you went and jumped off the high diving board. And if you're old enough, they're like, oh yeah, I can totally identify with that. So change instead of perfection to progress equals growth. And just so start changing the terminology that you're using, because there is no perfection. Nature is not perfect. And I think that we set ourselves up for all sorts of unhappiness when we start saying it should be this way, it should be that way. Oh, I learned something. I could have done a better job. In fact, I'll let you guys know, I recorded this about an hour and a half ago, I thought it was actually pretty good. I had some good thoughts streaming together, and I went to review it, and well, my microphone wasn't on. So I learned something. And here is something else about the brain. It grows just like our muscles when we're doing our push-ups or whatever. When we're going through adversity, embrace it. As cliche, as cheesy as that sounds, say, okay, it's really rough. I'm not really sure I want to be here, but what am I going to learn from it? Just dig into it. And if you don't have the answer for something, go out on YouTube. There are so many ways to find answers nowadays, which is a good and a bad thing. And your brain will come out larger and better from that experience. Continue to learn. You're never too old to learn. In fact, I just saw yesterday that the largest growing segment of people returning to the job market are 75 and older. I think that's a great thing. It's never too late. And it's very, very important to understand, again, what is your tendency towards your mindset. Dr. Antonio Martinez, I believe. I may have the first name wrong. I believe he's from Uruguay. He's written some beautiful books about how our mindset that we take in from our peers and from our family and friends has a tremendous effect on our bodies and our genetics. And they've done research where they sent some older guys that were, like in their 60s or something like that. They sent them to like camp for 2 weeks. And they played all the music from their high school days, and they just, did fun things. They measured their brain and their physiology and their body measurements, and they all came out younger on the other end. So be aware of what are you saying all the time, and who are you hanging out with? You're hanging out with people who are just accepting that they're older. Oh, how boring. Don't be that person. Start looking for younger friends. Start doing things that's going to challenge your brain, and stay current on the research on the neuroplasticity. There's your word for the day. Go research that. What is neuroplasticity? That means that we can literally rewire our brain up here. And it's funny, I'm doing this unconsciously because in a course I took, if you do a slow circle 8 when you're reading, and especially with your non-dominant hand, oh my word, you can't believe how much you'll remember. It is life-changing. I am kind of a speed reader, and I'm amazed at how much I remember. So stay on top of the research, because again, you're feeding your body and your mind with good information. And so neuroplasticity is your word for the day. I'm having this broken up into 2 sessions, so I'm only going to hit 10 of the highlights today. And reframe your perceived failures. Many times, every time, I work with either a candidate or a coaching client, and we have the timelines of life. Things up, and then we have maybe a little low, and then it's kind of flat. I can't tell you how many times we go through this low point and then examine what was the good that came out of that really, really low point. And I'm not here to give you the answers. You always have the answer, but having somebody help you kind of dig and cultivate is where the magic happens. And I have one person in mind where once she reframed that bad experience, she had a horrible experience in an office. I think it turned into a lawsuit even. And, but from that low point, something else really magical happened for her. And that is where her life is today. It's blessed, and she couldn't be any happier. I don't think it would have happened had she not gone through that low point. And she does too. So again, work with yourself, work with a coach. I'm not here to promote anything about me other than coaching is so valuable, and so many people will grow from it. So, and I'm always, ahead of the curve. Always have been throughout my career. So I want you guys to be thinking about, oh, she keeps talking about coaching. Who do I know that's a coach? Maybe they will help me with this. And what are your perpetual habits? What are some of the things that are your limiting beliefs? Reach out to someone that can be truly, truly on your side. All right. And then instead of seeking approval from others, get it from within. In fact, I think one of the most popular social posts on my LinkedIn this week was, your opinion of me is none of my business. Oh, that really resonated. So cultivate, what are your core values? What are the things that really matter to you, and let that be some of your guiding principles. Okay. So you don't have to, and that's really important because you don't want to shop your intuition around. What do I mean by that? You don't want to say, oh, I think I should do this, but then you go, ask 10 people, and is that really serving you well? You need to be true to yourself. And yeah, this is something I'm really committed to. I may stub my toe 10 times, but that's okay. I really, really, really want to do this. So take ownership and just move forward and have fun with yourself. All right. And then, instead of focusing on the end, focus on the process. This is what's a good example. Throughout my career in Dallas, I would have people say, God, I'd love to, have coffee with you and talk to you about, I'm starting my own business. And the thing I always said to people is, don't be attached to the outcome. Just go start calling people, networking. You're not attached to the outcome. You're out there planting seeds. And that always took the pressure off of people. And I have to be honest with you, I have to do that with myself sometimes because, we get really busy and we want to see instant gratification because that's just the way our culture is. Don't be attached to the outcome and set up processes. This is one of those processes at the beginning of the year. I put in my calendar. It comes up every single day that I'm committed to creating 2 to 3 video pieces. And I'm here. I mean, if I don't do it at the 11 o'clock time, it gets done no matter what. Okay, so definitely create your processes. There's nothing better than you doing your to-do list the night before. I always have my little list of 5 things that I want to have on my arc here. And that does 2 things. One, you're planting the seeds in your super consciousness. So if you put down what you want to get done the next day, your mind overnight is kind of germinating on that. So just think about that. It is miraculous. Sometimes I think I'm getting nothing done and I'll pull this up and I'll go, oh, check off, check off, check off. And it's really great because if something's not happening, you just move it on to the next day. And then I'm just so happy when I talk to the customer service person and say, oh, you've been on my list for a week. I can check you off. All right. And again, growth mindset versus contracted or fixed mindset. Are you rejoicing in your growth? Are you acknowledging your wins? This is one that I religiously do every Friday. It's like, okay, what are my metrics? Did I, contact enough people? Am I staying on target? Because then that'll also give you feedback on where do you need to change things. It's very important for our sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight. The invisible tiger nowadays might show up as, did I finish enough projects? Did I get enough emails out? Did I get enough responses? That's the sympathetic. The parasympathetic nervous system is when you feel relaxed, you're in the flow, your brain, your right side of your brain is coming up with ideas and you're following up with it. It's very important to acknowledge those wins, the parasympathetic nervous system. Otherwise, if you just keep going, I haven't done enough, I haven't done enough, I haven't done enough over here with your sympathetic nervous system, it's almost like you're beating yourself up. We all understand that one. So rejoice. I love that I still get emails from friends from when we were doing the group coaching to say, hey, these are my wins for Friday. It's really nice little ritual that we have together. So rejoice. Be patient with growth. Again, we live in a culture where we all want it yesterday. And gardening is always a great metaphor. And I have a plant a neighbor gave to me last year. I think it's called a desert rose. And I'm only halfway interested in it because I have another neighbor who has several of them, and they're just, look them up. They can be gorgeous. Well, mine is still just boring. And I ran into them on a walk the other morning and I said, oh, guys, this is the most boring plant in the world. To which they said, Marianne, have patience. So I named her Patience, hadn't given her a name yet. And I'm not kidding, I've got 2 new leaves. But be patient with growth. And we as human beings, as a culture, we overestimate what we can do within a year, but we underestimate what we can get done in 3 to 5 years. So set your plan, work it, have your patience, and then it'll catch up and you'll go, wow, I can't believe I did that. All right, and then we're going to finish off with number 10. Geniuses take up challenging work. Again, our brains are a muscle. We can learn more, take more notes, watch things over and over again, and take notes every time because you will learn more. And because the mother of learning is repetition. And geniuses have more use of their mind. And I'm using my right hand over here because when you learn to meditate and you cultivate that as a practice, you'll get more done in less time. It just magically starts falling in together. And again, going back to number 9, you have to have patience because sometimes it feels like, I know for me, when I'm in a creative mode, I mean, I've got stuff all over the place. I may have 5 ARC notebooks on the floor. I do some of my best work when I'm sitting on my Zafu cushion, or may have my whiteboard over here. And then you have to kind of, get all of that going and then let it clear. Do your meditation. And what are the ideas that come? And which ones are you going to follow through on? I'll leave you with this little anecdote. Thomas Edison always slept with a ball bearing in his hand. And when, well, not slept, but he would take little cat naps. I've been to both of his labs, the one in Michigan and down in Florida. I hope that one didn't get wiped out because it was right in that neighborhood. But he had little cots and he would take little cat naps, and he had a steel ball bearing in his hand. And when that would pop out of his hand, it would snap him up, and he said he got some of his best ideas there. So that's like a little bit of a meditation. It wasn't formal. He wasn't calling it that, but he just knew that's when the ideas were going to come through. All right, stay tuned. We will have part 2 next week, and let me know what you think. All right. Bye.